Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. In today's video we will be taking a look at the Havoc Demon Hunter. Oh, I'm sorry, the Beast Mastery Hunter. Wait, you said it's a hunter, but it's not survival. It's all of them. Oh, it's Marksmanship Hunter viable? Huh, how about that? I guess we'll be taking a look at the talents, essences, gear, rotation, and even more? I didn't know marksmanship was a thing. Oh, it's the #1 hunter spec in Mythic Eternal Palace? Oh, it's clearing keys up to 23 then? Fuck it, let's do this then. Starting up with the first row, you will take Master Marksman. This talent will make it so every aimed shot you cast reduce the focus cost of your next arcane shot or multi-shot by 100%. Arcane shot is essentially the filler focus dump of the spec, but can still pack a punch, and considering it can be cast while moving, and would this baby even be free, then what's not to love? Not to mention that multi-shotting is mandatory on 3 or more targets to activate Trick Shot, the AoE mechanic of the spec, and since it doesn't do much on its own, it's even better to be free. Plus, you know, it rounds up the rotation, makes it smooth, preventing downtime and all that. Next row brings Careful Aim, and to be honest, you should get used to a pretty cookie cutter build at this point. In terms of damage performance, the math doesn't favor variety for marksman, although you can mix and match. Careful Aim changes your priority a bit when in said HP windows, and more importantly, gives you a semi-execute window, which is very valuable for raid bosses, specifically those that have enraged timers, like at least one of them in 8.3. So yeah, it's good. Third row is where you actually have variety, but it's an utility row, so not many people care about it because it doesn't add damage, but it does add flavor. The options are not new compared to the other 2 specs. Natural Mending is a safe option where you would get 1 or 2 extra exhilaration procs over the course of a fight, giving you sustain, since really, Hunter doesn't have much in the ways of defense, excepting Turtle, which won't be there to save you every time. In dungeons, you can opt for Camouflage instead. It's particularly useful for skips, especially if your tank requires it, although this can be solved by most potions as well. Still, I like it, and I recommend you try it out as well. Row number 4, Hunter's Mark, seems to sim the best in both raiding and dungeons, aka AoE fights. The talent adds 5% extra damage, which will probably be all you are going to be using it for. And it's pretty fair. However, with ads or in dungeons, you can use it on a target bound to die pretty quick, and you can get focus back as well. It seems a lot of people are pushing keys with it, but I still find it clunky to use. Maybe if they take it off the GCD. Until then, you can opt for Streamline, especially if your haste is particularly high. It makes your rapid fire longer, which has its overall duration compressed by haste to begin with, meaning even more DPS. Plus, you know, you don't have to reapply it every goddamn 10 seconds. Or maybe I should just do higher keys instead of complaining. Next up, another utility row, and as all utility rows, take what you like. But post haste is the best, at least in raids, guys, come on. Moving from A to B is a pain for most, and the distance usually warrants the use of post haste. In dungeons, you can go with Binding Shot. There are affixes or keys high enough where your tank just needs to kite at some point, and being able to root mobs is very instrumental for being useful in the group. For the 6th tier, the overwhelming best performer is Double Tap. It's an extra button which we can all agree would be needed for 110% of the specs in the game and makes your rotation more interesting. I've seen people run with lethal shots, but wouldn't recommend it at the start, at least not for now. Maybe soon it could scale better with gear. Lastly, Calling the Shots is the tier 7 choice. The other options are probably more interesting, but they cannot hold a candle to this one, especially since we have Azerite and essences reducing the cooldown of True Shot, and with this baby your uptime will be really high. Before going forward, your fellow YouTubers will be asking you for a solid. click that bell thingy. Really. It really helps us out, and us being a bigger channel means bigger things for you in the future. Before going forward, and no, I won't be asking you to click the bell thingy again. Unless you haven't. I mean, you could just... Anyway, listen, BFA is kind of messed up with the gear, so we strongly recommend you sim your gear and stats and love interests and everything before deciding, because really that will be your best bet. However, the stats seem pretty stable with versatility and mastery tied for first spot and crit and haste for the second. Of course, this remains true if you have equal amounts of said stats, but you already knew math, right? Because that's why you're here. As an example though, my stat sims look like this, and I'm not showing this to let you know I'm better than you, because if I was, my dad would love me more and give me his car. No! This is to show you how stats can change and why simming can give you different results. Of course, these stats take into consideration the fact that I have the trinkets, traits, and essences I need to perform well, and I'm not even playing the spec. Ain't that a big... Speaking of trinkets, you might not be surprised to find that Ashbane's Razor Coral is the best in slot. It probably is for a lot of DPS specs, right? Well, strength agility ones at least. The other one being Dribbling Ink Pod, which works amazing against bosses and high priority targets, aka single target. Not gonna lie, this raid tier has pretty good trinkets. So good you'll want to farm them even if you're doing strictly mythic keys. But sure, you have dungeon options as well. Jara's Font of Power is definitely not one of them because it drops from the last raid boss and it's super crazy with the amount of agility it gives. But Harlan's Loaded Dice is a dungeon option. This drops from Freehold and has been a pretty strong agility trinket throughout all 3 seasons and most likely for season 4 as well. With those out of the way, let's check the traits. For better or worse, Marksman has one build for all types of content, except PvP because nobody's doing PvP outside Classic anymore. In the Rhythm is the first thing you want, and you want it 3 times. This baby gives you a massive haste boost at the end of each completed rapid fire, because if you cancel it, tough. Because of this, haste is ranking lower, so the less of this trait you have, the more haste you will want otherwise. Unerring Visions is the next one, which buffs your True Shot to give you big chunks of crit. This is one of the reasons you pick your talents the way you do. True Shot is super strong. Enough said. You want to have this once or twice, and the reason for this is because there are 2 1.1 traits you really need. Those are Focus Fire and Surging Shots. Both of these add damage to rapid fire, which is fine, but the real kicker is the special effect they both add, which does not stack. So if you have one of these 2, you will only have 1 left space for Unerring Visions, explaining my suggestion. The secondaries are as usual. Overwhelming Power is overwhelming overpowered, and Resounding Protection is resoundingly protective. For essences though, there are actually multiple ways in which you can build, depending on which essence you have at rank 3 of course. When raiding, Condensed Life Force is the go-to as always for your major. It's a super strong cooldown with minimal input from you, meaning minimal room for error. Crucible of Flame and Vision of Perfection will be your minors. Crucible is just good damage, and Vision reduces the cooldown of True Shot and adds a few minor bonuses as well, at rank 3 of course. For Mythics, well, really, you can just take the raid build. It's actually super popular at the high end of things, making Marksman a single target killing machine. But hey, we here at Marcelian&Online are nothing if not flexible. So to show our sense of variety, we will give you a total of 1 more build for Mythics. Take Essence of the Focusing Iris as your major and Condensed Life Force and Crucible as minors. This way you focus more on AoE damage, and it's good if your group or your key really needs multi-target pressure. We will start with a single target opener, and as far as the entire rotation goes, we will assume you have the talents and gear we recommended already selected. Precast double tap at 10 seconds before the pull. Apply Hunter's Mark and use your pre-pot. Start aimed shot at 2 seconds before the pool and follow it up with rapid fire. Proc your essence, then use your free arcane shot. Cast true shot. Follow it with an aimed shot, then another arcane shot. Then aim shot again, arcane shot again. Aim shot again, rapid fire this time, and finish with the last aimed shot. A few tips here. Double tap lasts for 15 seconds and goes on cooldown the moment you press it, not when you consume the buff, meaning popping it early will give you more casts for the encounter. In your true shot window, you want to fit in at least 3 aimed shots, and you always want to cast true shot with the haste buff from rapid fire. Opening in AoE is very similar. Start with double tap, hunter's mark, and pre-pot if you have any. Pop true shot first this time, then an instant multi-shot, then aimed shot and multi again, rapid fire and multi-shot, aimed shot and multi-shot, and finish with another rapid fire. With this opener, you maximize the AoE damage, but playing your trick shots passive properly, and it should give you an idea on how to generally play, aka always trick shot your aim shots and rapid fires. In normal combat, as far as priority goes, double tap on cooldown, and used with rapid fire always, unless the target has over 80% or under 20% health. Cast aim shot on cooldown without overlapping the precise shot's passive. Rapid fire on cooldown next, arcane shot next to consume precise shots or prevent focus capping, and steady shot as a filler. The most important thing to keep with priority up is the trick shots buff for your aim shots and rapid fires. Rapid fire on cooldown as long as you don't end up capping aimed shot charges. Multi-shot to consume precise shots buffs, aim shot on cooldown, multi-shot to prevent focus capping, and steady shot as a filler. For the consumables, remember that mastery and versatility are fairly equal, versatility usually pulling ahead the higher in eye level you get, while mastery will be better earlier on, so change what we will suggest accordingly. As such, take a cord of versatility for your ring enchants and a versatile dark opal for your gems. Your weapon can have the force multiplier since so many stats are fairly close to each other, and this will never fail you. Your flask will be of the current, clearly, and your preferred potions will be Unbridled Fury for boss fights and single target situations, and Superior Battle Potion of Agility for multi-target scenarios. Lastly, take the food, feast I mean, whenever you can, and Biltongue whenever you can't, but please, for the love of RNGesus, have the food buff. Before finishing off, this guide covers the basics, fundamentals of the spec, which should be still pretty good for you to push high-end content, but there are a lot more advanced resources out there, like the True Shot Discord channel that has a lot of the top hunters talk about marksman all the time, and one of them being Azertharian. I'm sorry if I'm missing your name, dude. It's kind of what I do, but he made one of the best hunter guides I have ever seen and has inspired this guide with a bit of information as well, so shout out to you, man. You're the real MVP. And also another huge shout out to our Patreons. God, guys, we love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting our content and ourselves throughout this whole dream of ours that we're enacting. Thank you so much. And for any other links of this nature, check the details down below the video. And thank you for watching this guide. See you in the next one.